Have you ever woken up to the sound of your phone buzzing and for a moment thought it was something real, a message, a notification, something that would give your day meaning? But instead, as you glance at the screen, you realize it's nothing more than a string of symbols, likes, and comments, each one a fleeting affirmation of your existence in this vast digital sea. And yet, you keep scrolling, keep posting, keep waiting. The question is, what are you really waiting for? We've all been there, the moment when the allure of social media is too strong to resist. It promises us connection, a thread that links us to others, an invisible web that stretches across time zones, continents, and cultures. A place where we can share our thoughts, our lives, our images, and in return, we expect validation. But as the hours pass, you start to feel it, a gnawing emptiness, a sense that something, somewhere, is missing. You post your picture, your thoughts, your latest achievement. You wait. The likes trickle in, the comments pop up. For a second, you feel the rush dopamine flooding your brain. It feels good, but as soon as the thrill fades, the void creeps back in. It's never enough. And so, you scroll again. You repeat the cycle, hoping the next notification will fill the emptiness a little more, hoping that this time it will be different. But it isn't. Social media feeds you a constant stream of false intimacy. The algorithms know what you crave: connection, approval, recognition. It's tailored to your deepest desires, your weaknesses. Every post, every swipe, feels like a bridge to someone else's life, one that feels just a little bit closer, a little bit more real. But it isn't. What you're actually building isn't connection, but a series of thin threads, each one fragile, fleeting, and, ultimately, unfulfilling. In these moments, you might wonder if anyone else feels the same way. You're trapped in a web of digital personas, where every conversation is a performance, every image a constructed version of reality. You start to wonder, is this connection, or is it just an illusion? An echo of a life lived for the camera, for the feed, for the algorithm. The truth is, the more we rely on social media to define our worth, the more disconnected we become. The connections that feel so genuine, so intimate, are actually a mirage. You see, no matter how many followers you gain, no matter how many comments are left on your posts, there's something missing. The human touch, the realness, the depth of connection that comes from face-to-face interaction. This is what social media cannot replicate. And so, as you scroll through your feed, ask yourself, what are you really looking for? Are you seeking connection? Or are you just looking for a momentary fix to soothe an emptiness that only grows the more you try to fill it? The screen glows, and the buzz continues. But in the quiet of your mind, the question lingers. Is this truly connection, or are you just another soul lost in the illusion? And as that thought sinks deeper, you realize you're not alone in this feeling. Everyone is searching for something real, something deeper. But in a world that promises so much, how often do we settle for so little? You've heard it 1,000 times. We're more connected than ever before. The promises of social media echo through our lives like a constant refrain, whispering that no matter where you are, you can be a part of something, someone. But here you are, scrolling through your feed, feeling nothing. Not joy, not excitement, not even the dull buzz of distraction. Just a creeping emptiness that grows with each passing post. Do you remember the first time social media felt like a lifeline? The first time you connected with someone, shared a thought, and felt that fleeting sense of community? That was the promised community, connection, a place where you belong. But now, the more you scroll, the more you feel it. A growing distance, an emotional gap widening between you and the world around you. You're always connected, yet you're more alone than ever. The strange paradox of our digital age is that while we can reach out to thousands of people, the loneliness creeps in from within. A quiet erosion that you can't always see, but you feel it. The algorithm doesn't care about your emotions. It just feeds you content. A constant stream of images, opinions, moments curated to hold your attention. The longer you scroll, the more it entices you, each post triggering a dopamine hit, but none of it fills the void. The faces you see, the lives you watch unfolding, they all seem so perfect, so full of life. And yet, the more you compare your own life to theirs, the more distant it all feels. They're all living a reality that you're not a part of, and the more you watch, the more you feel like a passive observer. Each swipe, each click is a reminder. You're watching, but not living. There's a name for this feeling, though you may not have known it before: FOMO, fear of missing out. It's that gnawing sense that everyone else is doing something more meaningful, more exciting, more important than you are. It's the quiet anxiety that pulses through your veins as you watch your friends post photos from vacations you weren't invited to, moments of joy you weren't a part of. The algorithm doesn't show you the entire picture. It shows you the best moments, the highs, the wins, and by comparison, it makes your own life feel small. But what you don't see, what you can't see, is the reality behind those posts, the loneliness they hide, the struggles they mask, the same insecurities that haunt you as you scroll through their curated lives. But in that moment, you feel alone, incomplete, like something is missing from your own existence. The problem is that you don't just consume content, you're consumed by it. The longer you stay online, the more your mind becomes cluttered with images of people you've never met and places you've never been. Your life is increasingly measured by the number of likes and comments, the constant influx of feedback, yet somehow it never feels like enough. It's a never-ending chase that leaves you feeling emptier, more disconnected, as you feed your mind with the illusion of connection, but never truly reflect on what you're losing in the process. And the cost is starting to show. You feel anxious, disconnected, maybe even depressed, but the cause isn't obvious. It's not something you can pinpoint right away. The algorithm's pull is subtle, but it's eroding something deep inside you, your sense of self, your worth, your ability to truly connect with those around you. It's all slipping through your fingers, and you don't even realize it until one day you're left staring at your phone, asking yourself, when did this become my life? The erosion is silent, but it's happening, and you can't ignore it anymore. It's a familiar feeling, isn't it? The moment when you realize you're no longer living for yourself. You're living for the post, for the picture, for the approval of someone or hundreds of someones who you've never even met. You wake up, and the first thing you do is check your phone, but not to see how you're feeling. You check it to see how they are feeling about you. Each like, each comment, a small measure of validation. A reminder that, for just a second, you matter. But deep down, you feel it, the pressure. The need to craft a life that fits perfectly within the digital spaces of social media. A life curated, shaped, and polished until it's almost unrecognizable from the real one. You used to post because you wanted to share moments that were meaningful to you, things that brought you joy, that made you feel connected to the world. But now, each post feels like a performance. What once was personal has become a show. You're no longer sharing for the sake of connection. You're sharing to be seen. You've become a curator of your own existence, carefully selecting the moments that will make others smile, envy, or dream. Each picture, each story, each tweet, it all has to be perfect. It's all part of the act, and it's exhausting. There's always something more to post, something more to share, something more to do. You've learned to shape your identity around the lens of social media, to sculpt the version of yourself that gets the most likes, the most attention, the most validation. You've become an artist of your own image, a perfectionist in crafting a version of you that aligns with what others admire. But somewhere, in the back of your mind, a question stirs. Who am I, if not what I post? This isn't just about vanity or narcissism. It's something deeper, more insidious. Social media doesn't just feed your desire to be seen, it forces you to constantly question your worth. Your worth isn't based on your true self anymore. It's based on how others see you, on how your life measures up to their expectations. And so, you begin to conform. You shape yourself into the person you think they'll like. You put on a mask, day after day, and before long, you've forgotten who you were before the likes and the comments. You've forgotten what you wanted, what you needed, because now your identity is tied to how many followers you have, how many people admire the version of you you've created. But what happens to your mind when you're constantly pressured to fit into a mold that doesn't quite fit? The mental toll begins to build up. You start to feel disconnected from your own desires, your own emotions, because they no longer belong to you, they belong to the version of you that's seen online. The more you perform, the more you lose touch with who you are beneath the facade. You begin to feel like a stranger in your own life, someone who's always watching, always performing, but never truly experiencing. You live in a constant state of anxiety, wondering if your next post will be enough, if it will garner the right amount of attention. The rush fades quicker each time. It's a relentless cycle, a cycle that feeds on itself. You post to be validated, but the validation only lasts for a moment. So you post again, and again, and again, until it becomes a habit you can't break. And yet, you know deep down, you know that this life you're presenting, this version of yourself, is not the real you. It's a carefully crafted image, a projection, and the longer you feed into it, the more you lose sight of who you really are. What does it mean to live authentically in a world where everyone is constantly performing? What happens to the person you were before you started shaping your identity for others? When did it stop being about sharing your truth and start being about crafting an illusion? The questions are unsettling because they force you to confront something you don't want to face, the price of living for the approval of others. As you scroll through your feed, each picture feels more and more like a mask, a costume you put on to be seen, to be admired. But the deeper you go, the more you wonder, will anyone ever see you for who you truly are? Have you ever paused for a moment, staring at your feed, and felt like the world around you is getting smaller? Each scroll feels more predictable than the last, as if you're trapped inside a loop where every post reflects your own thoughts, your own beliefs. Every like, every share is a confirmation, a nod of agreement from the universe that you're right. But something about it feels off, like the world outside this digital bubble is slipping further and further away. It's as the more you feel its pull, as if your world is becoming more and more defined by what you agree with, not by what challenges you. The confirmation feels good. It feels safe. But it also feels smaller. You realize that these connections you've forged online aren't connections at all. They're just echoes. Echoes of what you want to hear, what you believe, what you need to feel validated. Social media creates an illusion of unity, of understanding, but it doesn't foster true dialogue. It doesn't ask you to grow. It simply reinforces what you already know. And so, you remain stagnant, trapped in a cycle of validation with no room to evolve, to question, to expand your mind. Each post becomes less about discovery and more about reaffirmation, and you feel it, don't you? The tension, the restlessness in your mind, as you realize you've been living in a bubble once so tightly packed with ideas that resemble your own, that the very air feels stale. But here's the thing. When you only hear what you want to hear, you stop learning. You stop challenging your beliefs. And the world outside your feed becomes more and more foreign. You begin to lose touch with the complexities of real life, the gray areas, the contradictions, the nuances that make the world so beautifully unpredictable. Your interactions with others, even in the real world, start to reflect this narrow view. You can no longer understand why people think differently. Why don't they see it the way you do? Why don't they understand the simple truth you've come to accept? This isn't just a problem with your online community. It's a problem with your mind. When you surround yourself with only those who agree with you, your thinking becomes rigid. Your ability to empathize, to engage with the complexities of life, diminishes. You stop questioning your own beliefs because the algorithm has already done the work for you. It shows you what confirms them, what makes you feel comfortable in your worldview. But what happens when the world doesn't fit neatly into the boxes you've built for it? What happens when your carefully constructed bubble bursts? The emotional tension rises as you begin to see it for what it is. This echo chamber isn't just a digital prison, it's a mental one. Your capacity for growth is shackled by the endless cycle of validation. The more you scroll, the more it becomes clear. You've been living in a world that only gives you what you want and nothing else. It's easy, it's comfortable, but it's also stifling. And the cost is high. Your mental health, your relationships, your ability to engage with the real world, all begin to fray at the edges. The question now is, can you step outside this bubble? Can you confront the discomfort of differing opinions, challenge your own beliefs, and break free from the illusion of certainty that social media provides? Or will you remain in the echo chamber, listening to the same voices over and over again until your mind becomes a reflection of nothing but yourself? Have you ever looked at your profile and felt like it wasn't really you anymore? The posts, the selfies, the stories, all carefully curated, all perfectly aligned with the image you want the world to see. And, for a moment, it feels good. It feels like you've nailed it. But then, as the likes trickle in, the anxiety begins to settle in your chest. Is it enough? What if this isn't enough? What if people don't see you that feel perfect? The beautiful vacation photos, the perfect coffee in hand, the smiling selfie, the curated moments that paint a picture of a flawless existence. But each time you do, it feels like a little piece of you is being left behind. The pressure to keep up this perfect image becomes suffocating. The more you try to maintain this mask, the more you realize just how heavy it is. It's not just the physical exhaustion of managing multiple accounts, editing photos, crafting the perfect caption. It's the mental strain, the fear that, without the constant validation of likes and comments, you'll slip from the carefully constructed image you've worked so hard to build. The fear of being unfollowed, of not receiving enough likes, starts to gnaw at you. The numbers become everything, and your sense of self-worth is slowly chipped away by every unfollow, every post that doesn't perform as well as the last. But the real cost is deeper than that. It's the mental toll this perfectionism takes on you. The more you craft this flawless persona, the more you disconnect from the real you. You've spent so long editing, shaping, and refining your image to match some ideal that no one can truly live up to, that you've forgotten who you were before the likes and the filters. The need to be seen as perfect begins to erode your ability to be vulnerable. Anxiety sets in. You're always wondering if you're enough to be loved, enough to be admired. You chase this perfect image, thinking it will bring happiness, but instead, it brings emptiness. And then, the depression creeps in. It doesn't announce itself with loud, obvious signs. No, it's quieter. It's in the small moments, the doubts that grow in the pit of your stomach, the sudden awareness of how far you've strayed from who you really are. The more you try to live up to the idealized version of yourself, the more you begin to feel hollow inside. You're not being authentic, you're performing, and the audience is watching. You've become an actor in a show that never ends, and with each performance, the gap between the person you present online and the person you are in reality grows wider. And in that gap, a sense of disconnection begins to take root. You start to wonder, is this who I really am? Or am I just a collection of moments designed for someone else to admire? The weight of it all becomes unbearable. The facade starts to crack, and the pressure to maintain it feels like it's crushing you. But there's no way out. Not without losing the audience you've worked so hard to build. And so, you continue to post, continue to share, continue to shape yourself into someone you're not, because the fear of being exposed, of being seen for what you really are, is too much to bear. But here's the question you have to ask yourself. How often do you present yourself as perfect, and at what cost to your own mental well-being? The desire to be flawless is not only exhausting, it's dangerous. Perfectionism breeds anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of emptiness. The pursuit of an unattainable standard, one crafted by algorithms, filters, and external validation, only leaves you more disconnected from your true self. So, what happens when you take the mask off? What happens when you let go of the need for perfection and start living authentically? The answer isn't easy, but it's worth asking because the price of perfection is far higher than you might realize. Have you ever stopped, just for a moment, and wondered what the endless scrolling, the constant comparison, the hunt for validation is really doing to you? It's easy to dismiss the small things, the way your attention span has shrunk, how it's harder to focus, how the little moments of joy now feel fleeting, replaced by a constant need for the next hit of dopamine. But then, the weight of it all begins to settle in. You notice the cracks, the creeping anxiety that never quite leaves, the insecurity that feels more like a constant companion than an occasional guest. It's as if something deep inside you is slowly eroding, piece by piece, and you don't know how to stop it. At first, it's subtle. The mindless scrolling doesn't seem like it's doing any harm. You're just catching up with the world, keeping up with friends, staying informed. But slowly, imperceptibly, it starts to rewire you. The more you consume, the more your brain becomes conditioned to expect instant gratification, a constant stream of stimuli that demands your attention. It rewires your brain in ways you can't see at first. Your ability to concentrate on a single task fades. Your thoughts become fragmented, scattered. The hours spent mindlessly scrolling have dulled your ability to be present in the real world. It feels like you're always just one click away from something new, something better, but that never quite arrives. The desire for connection becomes the addiction, and the more you consume, the more you find yourself incapable of real engagement with your own life. But the true damage doesn't just happen in the way you think or focus. It happens in the way you feel. Constant exposure to the curated lives of others warps your sense of self-worth. You begin comparing your ordinary, messy, real life to the highlights others put on display, and every comparison chips away at your confidence until you feel like your life doesn't measure up. The feelings of inadequacy, of being less than, start to set in for you anymore. You're living it for an audience. The likes, the followers, the comments, they've replaced real connection, real experiences with an illusion, and deep down, you begin to feel hollow. This isn't just about how you feel on the surface. It's about how social media has slowly, quietly, redefined your relationship with yourself. This is the turning point, the moment when you finally see the full extent of the damage. The mental toll, the anxiety, the distorted sense of self, it all begins to crystallize. You realize that what seemed like a harmless habit has grown into something much darker. Something that has eroded your mental health in ways you never could have imagined. The person you thought you were, the person you thought you could be, is slowly slipping away, replaced by an image of yourself shaped by others' expectations. It's time to confront the truth. Social media is not just an innocent distraction. It's a force, a powerful influence that has subtly reshaped your mind, your emotions, and your sense of identity. And now, you have to ask yourself, how much longer can you continue down this path it used to be? So, that the quiet isn't so terrifying after all. It's in this solitude that you start to rediscover yourself. The journey isn't easy, and it's not linear. There are moments when you feel the pull of the digital world, moments when you wonder if you're missing out, if you're falling behind. But with each passing day, you begin to reclaim your sense of worth from within. You start to realize that you don't need the approval of strangers to feel valuable. Your worth isn't determined by likes, comments, or followers. It's determined by who you are when no one else is watching. You begin to fill the empty space with things that matter, real connections, experiences that can't be captured in a post or a picture. You learn to appreciate the moments that aren't shared with the world, the quiet victories, the small joys of being fully present. It's not that social media is inherently evil, it's that you've spent too long living in a world designed by algorithms, a world that distorts your sense of self and your place in the real world. Now, you're slowly but surely stepping away from of self, and the genuine connections that make life truly worth living. The world outside the screen is vast, and you've only just begun to explore it. Now, the question is this: can you find your balance? Can you step back from the digital noise and rediscover a life of real meaning? The path forward is yours to define, and it starts now.